I think that the most important thing that Trump's address showed us was that Trump is not withdrawing from the Iran war imminently. So some people were hoping that in this national address, Trump might actually be announcing a US withdrawal or a drawdown from the war with Iran. And the entire tone of Trump's address was going in quite a different direction, where Trump laid out the importance of the war, the rationale for the war as he sees it, and also, interestingly, went through in quite a lot of detail lengthy wars that the US has been engaged in the past. So almost setting the expectations that, because the US has been involved in wars in the past that have taken place over years or decades, that a few months or even a year of the US fighting in Iran should not be considered a very long period of time.
Our armed forces have been extraordinary. There's never been anything like it militarily. Everyone is talking about it, and tonight I'm pleased to say that these core strategic objectives are nearing completion.
So the address gave the impression that not only does President Trump not feel a responsibility over ensuring that after this war there is free flow of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, but that also he doesn't really feel an ongoing responsibility to ensure the security and economic viability of Gulf states after this war.
And we are going to finish the job, and we're going to finish it very fast. We're getting very close. I want to thank our allies in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain.
So I think that Trump is feeling increasing domestic pressure because the oil crisis is real. And whilst it's being felt even more severely around the world, it is also being felt inside the United States. Slightly less because the United States is such a big oil producer themselves. So I do think that this address was partly trying to calm markets and also calm domestic sentiment within the United States to say, even though things might be difficult now, Trump didn't exactly acknowledge that, but he didn't say that they're not difficult, but in future they're going to be much, much better because of what we're doing. So again, trying to craft those domestic expectations that this is the right path and that ultimately this will end up with a much better situation for Americans.
Many Americans have been concerned to see the recent rise in gasoline prices here at home.
In terms of the global oil markets, I don't think that this address would actually have a positive effect. And we did see that during Trump's address, the price of oil rose slightly. That's because I think it was very clear from the way that Trump was talking that he is planning to double down and dig in the war with Iran, at least over the next few weeks or months. If not longer, that remains to be seen. Trump tends to favour uncertainty in terms of his foreign policy. So even when Trump has acted decisively, it's usually happened with little pre-warning. So the fact that Trump says this might continue for 2 to 3 weeks doesn't necessarily mean that that's the scale or scope that Trump is thinking. It could be that within less than 2 weeks, Trump decides that it's time for the US to withdraw, or it could be that actually Trump is thinking this might continue for a few more months. I think what it does tell us is that we're not going to see a US withdrawal within days. At a minimum, I would expect 2 weeks. And I suspect that what we're more likely to see is 3 to 4 weeks at a minimum, depending on how US military operations go within 3 to 4 weeks. We might even see the war continuing beyond that. So to me, the speech suggests that Trump does want an exit plan. And I understand that from the way that Trump spoke about the Strait of Hormuz. Because if Trump was committing himself with US military forces to guarantee that the Strait of Hormuz would stay open before he withdraws, that would mean that he's in for a very long war of probably at least a year or two, because that would mean really trying to ensure that there's a complete collapse of the Iranian regime.
May God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much, and good night.